Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the fourth and final day of the 20th annual NHRA Winston World Finals here at Pomona Raceway. For the past 3 days, we've seen some of the most outstanding drag racing action of the entire season right here at the LA County Fairgrounds, with track records being set and reset with some of the most astounding runs ever down any quarter mile anywhere. Of course, this is the first time that the NHRA World Finals have been moved to the LA County Fairgrounds, normally reserved for only the Winter Nationals season opener. But this year, the NHRA Winston World Championship Series begins and ends right here at Pomona Raceway. Down at the water burnout area right now, it's Alan Patterson of Augusta, Kansas, as we get ready to continue with Super Stock eliminations. Patterson will be driving one of the Patterson Racing Team entries, of which there are 5 machines running in NHRA competition. This particular version, one of the fastest Oldsmobiles you'll see outside of Pro Stock Eliminator. The machine campaigns in the Super Stock A Super Mod class. It's a 1984 Oldsmobile Cutlass with a 408 cubic inch Oldsmobile engine inside. On the top end, Patterson turns off the clocks at 9.88 seconds from the Super Stock Eliminator Oldsmobile, 137.61 miles per hour. The next pair of machines will be a study in contrast. It's Val Hedworth, runner-up at this year's Winter Nationals in Super Stock Eliminator from Rowland Heights, California. Hedworth, a longtime Super Stock campaigner. He's driving a 1966 Chevy 2 with a 350 cubic inch small block engine in the Super Stock I-Automatic class. His opponent, Terry Ivey out of Houston, Texas, coming a long way for this event. The Mumford, Ivey & Cook Super Stock C Super Small Block Nova. You leave the line, Ivey banging through the 4-speed of the small block 71 Chevrolet, trying to drive around Hedworth. And on the top end, he cannot do it. Hedworth gets the win, running only 0.02 of a second over his dial at a 1078. 124.11 miles per hour for the win. Ivey with a losing 1057 at 130.25. Next up, it's Dan Morse, longtime Stock Eliminator campaigner from Rochester, New York. Banging the 4-speed in the Super Stock K64 Nova with a 350 cubic inch small block inside. Strong running small block Chevrolet. And Morris turns off the clocks with an 11:33, right on the index at 117.96 miles per hour. Well, coming up next, it's a study of both the old and the new in Super Stock racing. It's the U.S. Nationals champion in the Quaker State Lane, Larry Morgan from St. Louisville, Ohio, in the Nationwide Rod Shop team car. It's a brand new 84 Trans Am with a Super Stock GTF classification, meaning that it uses one of the earlier 60 model small block V8 Chevys. Jerry Pruitt out of Yakima, Washington is competitor, and take a look, a 1964 Ford Custom with a 352 cubic inch Ford motor and a 4-speed. One of the old classic Fords against one of the brand new Pontiacs. They leave the line, and it's Pruitt out in front with a big hole shot on the Indy winner, and Morgan's gonna be in trouble on this one. Morgan in the GT car trying to drive around the Ford. He cannot do it, and Pruitt scores a tremendous upset. 12.43 seconds at 109 miles an hour, and Morgan's losing 11.24 at 121, and the U.S. Nationals champ goes out here in round number 1. Coming up in the Quaker State Lane, it's Pat Jarek, and if anybody's driven plenty of miles to get to this event, Jarek certainly has. Coming all the way from Park Hall, Maryland. It's a 1967 Fairlane, one of the original Ford killer cars produced by the factory in the mid-60s during the peak of the high-performance wars. It's 390 cubic inch 4-speed entry. Leaving the line at about 9,500 RPM, Jarek bangs the 4-gear all the way down the Pomona quarter mile. Tremendous run on a 1040 index. Jarek is ready for the remainder of eliminations as he goes 10.46 seconds at 129.50 miles per hour. Well, if you're a Ford fan, we've got more Ford action coming up. 2 of the most powerful machines that Ford ever produced from the factory. A pair of 428 cubic inch Cobra Jet Mustangs on the starting line. The Quaker State Lane is longtime NHRA killer John Dusenberry out of Denver, Colorado. He's driving the John Mars Performance 69 Mustang with a 428 inside and a 4-speed in the D class. He'll be up against Steve Steele from Berea, California with the Crazy Horse 71 Mustang 428 entry. Dusenberry and Steele battling it out all the way down in an excellent battle, and Dusenberry pulls out the win and what a close one. 11:59, only 1/100th of a second under the index at 116 miles an hour. Steele right there at only 3/100ths of a second under the C index at 11:29, 120.84 miles an hour. Well, here's an interesting battle coming up in the Quaker State Lane. That odd sound that you hear comes from Rusty Lawston's 83 Buick Century. It's the brand new Superstock X-Class entry powered by a 231 cubic inch GM V6. Is up against Greg Smith from Burbank, California in the Smith family 71 340 Cuda. They lead the line side by side with the brand new V6 Buick Century trying to stay out in front of the classic 340 Superstock J Automatic Barracuda on the top end. It's the V6 with a big upset at 11:61, a big hole shot, beating Greg Smith. 117 miles an hour for the V6 to a losing 11:29. For the Chrysler car at 122.44 miles per hour. We now move into Competition Eliminator, and I'll tell you, coming up right now in the Quaker State Lane is one of the most outrageous machines in this particular eliminator. This is Rick Kelly out of Houston, Texas, driving Joe Pickford's 268 cubic inch small block Chevy powered Datsun 240Z. It's got a 5-speed transmission inside. And take a look, Kelly goes 42/100ths of a second under the index and 9.18 seconds over 146 miles per hour. A 268 cubic inch small block Chevy. Coming up next, a machine that certainly destined to become one of the first A-Factory experimental entries ever in the 7-second zone. This is Gary Brown from Beaufort, Georgia. The machine that might appear to be a pro stocker, it's actually a 428 cubic inch Olds-powered 1984 Camaro. His opponent, Ron Neff from Arvada, Colorado, in a B Econo Dragster, 317 cubic inch Chevy-powered rear engine entry on gasoline, using a single 4-barrel carburetor and an automatic transmission. Now, Brown qualified for this event with an 8:02, one of the quickest runs ever in A-Factory experimental. He's trying desperately to run in the 7-second zone to become the first man ever to do it in national event competition in this class. Brown leaves the starting line RPMs up, trying to stay out in front of Ron Neff's super strong B Econo Dragster. On the top end, Neff cannot do it. Gary Brown with the Olds-powered Camaro takes the win 41 under the index at an 8:09, 171.10 miles an hour. Actually faster in speed than Neff at a 781, 170. Well, here's the defending Winston World Champion in Competition Eliminator, Coleman Roddy. Won the NHRA Winter Nationals here at this event with his 292 cubic inch 82 Firebird out of Port Arthur, Texas, and as you can see, wearing the big #1 on the side of the machine. His opponent will be Jack Spurlock's Oklahoma-based E-modified production 67 Camaro with a 272 cubic inch small block. Here's a pair of 10,000 RPM Stormers. Side-by-side launches McColeman Roddy with the hole shot. The defending Winston World Champion out in front of the Camaro from Oklahoma, and it's Coleman Roddy, the world champ, taking the win with a 49 under the index, 956 at 142.18 miles an hour. Spurlock right there at a 10:01, 134.12 miles an hour, and as you can hear, it's time for the supercharged machines coming up as we move into the supercharged alcohol burning funny cars in the top alcohol funny car division. In the Quaker State Lane, the quickest and fastest alcohol burner in history. And in the Winston Lane, the defending Winston World Champion in this eliminator. It's Brad Anderson in the Quaker State Lane from Covina, California. The #1 qualifier in this event at 6.38 seconds, 222.22 miles an hour. The current NHRA national record holder in a phenomenal 6.25 second blast over 224 miles an hour, recorded just a month ago. Brett Van the top alcohol buddy car ranks. Bandolini with the aluminum Chevy-powered Rodeck Trans Am. Qualified number 9 with a 662 at 215 miles an hour. Anderson with the Keith Black aluminum Hemi-powered Pontiac, looking for his first NHRA Winston World Championship ever here at this event. She's moving up now for the dry burnouts, heating up the massive rear slicks after those tremendous smoky burnouts. This could be one of the best races in this entire eliminator. Anderson and Bandolini rocketing over the starting line on those dry hops, heating up the massive Goodyears, and now backing up into the hot rubber just laid down. Bandolini actually held the NHRA national record in this division earlier this year at a 6:30 over 220 miles an hour. Anderson, however, substantially quicker and faster than that at many racetracks this year, and certainly these two, the biggest rivals in the alcohol-burning buddy car ranks. Both machines now inching towards the starting line as Brad Anderson takes on Fred Bandolini here at the 20th annual NHRA Winston World Finals. Anderson in the Quaker State lane, Bandolini in the Winston lane. RPM's up, ready for the green light. Anderson leaves first, Bandolini in hot pursuit all the way down the quarter mile at the top end. It's Brad Anderson taking the win. 6.38 seconds, 221.67 miles an hour, a tremendous top-end charge. Bandolini losing 6:49 at over 216 miles an hour. Coming up next, a battle between a youngster and an old pro. Brett Williamson takes on Vern Moats. The 23-year-old Campbell, California native in the Quaker State lane with his Dave Uyehara-built Corvette will take on Moats with the Hamspear Daytona. Moats of West Des Moines, Iowa, longtime NHRA stormer back in the mid-1960s. Moats was a killer in the competition eliminator ranks. It has moved up since into the alcohol-burning buddy cars and has made quite a dent with several NHRA national event win performances and many NHRA Winston Series regional wins in NHRA Division 5, the North Central Division up in the northern part of the United States. Williamson, though, only 23 years old, originally got his license with the alcohol dragsters. He comes from a racing family. His brother Rick is a longtime fuel buddy car and alcohol buddy car pilot. Williamson qualified in the lucky number 13 spot in this program with a 664 at the second fastest speed of the entire event, 217.91 miles an hour. Moats qualified number 5 with a 649 at over 214. Williamson looking to score an upset here in this particular matchup. Moats was runner-up at the NHRA Winter Nationals here earlier this year at Pomona Raceway. Since been running 640s at over 220 miles an hour nearly everywhere across the country. Backing up with the hot rubber, and they'll soon move up to put down even more rubber and begin moving to the starting line. Williamson certainly appears at ease up against such a killer as Vern Moats and looking for the big upset. Inching towards the starting line, the Dave Uyehara Daymax built Corvette takes on the Hamspear Dodge Daytona. RPM's up on the starting line, staged up. With a tremendous launch and starting to pull away from Williamson all the way down the quarter mile. And it's Vern Moats with a 6:42, 216 miles an hour at a top end charge. Williams set a respectable 668 at 215 miles an hour, but it wasn't enough to get around Old Pro Vern Boats here in Top Alcohol Funny Car. So obviously the action we've seen so far, some tremendous racing in both the sportsman ranks and the sportsman supercharged entries in the Top Alcohol Funny Car division. Brad Anderson apparently on his way to an NHRA Winston World Championship in the Top Alcohol Funny Car ranks. And we'll be getting back to the alcohol machines for the next round, but right now, it's time to go into the professional categories as we get ready for the sports premier entries in the pro ranks. Well, it appears that the first machines out in the professional category eliminations will be the crowd-pleasing factory hot rods, the Pro Stockers. Coming out, the wheel standing gear jamming carbureted gas-burning mountain-motored machines running in the 760 zone in this particular event at speeds over 181 miles per hour. And of course, we have a deadlock in the points championship for the world title between three-time NHRA world champion Lee Shepard and Warren Johnson in the Hearst Olds Cutlass from Duluth, Georgia. And pulling into the water burnout area, it's the first pair in this round of Pro Stock Eliminator. In the Winston lane, it's Joe Lapone, the ex-Bill Grumpy Jenkins team driver from Newton Square, Pennsylvania. Lapone driving the brand new Camaro of the Palmer brothers from southern Florida. Lapone qualified the brand new machine in the number 11 position with a 778 at over 177 miles an hour, but take a look. Lapone's opponent, Lee Shepard, three-time NHRA Winston World Champion in Pro Stock. Shepard driving the rear Morrison and Shepard prepared entry from Arlington, Texas, number 3 qualifier with a 769 at 178 miles per hour. Shepard is in a do-or-die situation. He must keep winning here at the Winston World Finals in order to grab the Winston World Championship from Warren Johnson. The last burnouts as they move to the starting line. They leave the line and Lee Shepard out right with Joe Lapone, door to door, all the way down the quarter mile. And it's Lee Shepard taking the win. 771 for the white Camaro, 178 miles per hour. Lapone only 0.08 of a second behind with a 779, 177 miles an hour. So that puts the pressure on the man coming up in the Quaker State lane, Warren Johnson from Duluth, Georgia, the pilot of the ultra-popular Hearst Olds Cutlass. Johnson looking to win the NHRA World Championship. Qualified number 5 with a 775 at top speed in the event at over 181 miles per hour. He's up against a real spoiler, though, Rickie Smith, the Ford Motorcraft sponsored Thunderbird from King, North Carolina. Number 13 qualifier for Rickie Smith. They leave the line. Unbelievable. Smith with a tremendous hole shot. Johnson in serious tire shake. On the top end, what an upset. Rickie Smith takes the win with a 789 at 174 miles an hour. Johnson shakes the tires to a 797 at 175, and Warren Johnson is out of the picture for the Winston World Championship. Going up, it's Minnesota against Indiana. In the Winston lane, Gene Fashing from Winstead, Minnesota, longtime Pro Stock campaigner with this immaculate Pontiac Trans Am that was voted best appearing car at the NHRA Quaker State North Star Nationals earlier this year. Fashing qualified with a 778 at 177, and his opponent, one of the toughest in the nation, Bob Glidden from Whiteland, Indiana, with the 711 Jeep Auto Parts Thunderbird. Glidden leaves the line ahead of Gene Fashing. He's been running in the 760s the entire event. At the finish line, Glidden gets the win light. A tremendous 766 at 180 miles per hour. Fashing is 788, slowing at the top end at 175. From Westport, Massachusetts in the Quaker State Lane is Ronnie Manchester with a 500 cubic inch Pontiac Firebird. Number 10 qualifier with a 778. He's up against the ex-California Flash, Butch Leal, now from Blacklick, Ohio, in the Nationwide Castrol GTX Oil Trans Am. Number 2 qualifier. They leave the line. Manchester with a slight hole shot on Leal with the black Trans Am trying to power around on the top end, and it is Butch Leal coming around from behind with a tremendous 783 to 790 win. 175 miles per hour for the ex-California Flash. Well, that brings us into the ground-bounding, nitro-burning, plastic-bodied funny cars. As we go into Funny Car Eliminator, the earth shakes here at Pomona Raceway, 3,000 horsepower apiece, as the nitro burners move into the water burnout area with 5 second, 260 mile per hour action. Moving into the water here in the Winston Lane, it's Rick Johnson. Johnson driving the Hawaiian Punch Dodge Daytona, rolling on. And his opponent with the super high-winding, high-RPM burnout, the one and only Raymond Beadle, driver of the Blue Max from Dallas, Texas, two-time NHRA Winston World Champion in this ultra-tough nitro buddy car category. Beadle qualified number 2 in the program with the Blue Max Ford Mustang at a tremendous 576 over 250 miles per hour. Johnson, who has only been driving for Roland Leon's Hawaiian Punch team for the last 3 months, replacing an injured Mike Dunn, qualified in the number 10 spot with a 589 and a best ever speed for the team of over 254.23 miles per hour. The second over the line burnout for Johnson, putting down plenty of hot rubber on the Pomona Raceway starting line. So Beadle with 570 strength seems to be the favorite in this particular matchup, although Johnson has certainly been learning how to drive hard in Roland Leon's bright blue Dodge Daytona, the Hawaiian Punch entry. Inching to the starting line, Beeves clearing the motor. Rick Johnson and Raymond Beadle on the starting line. They leave the line at Rick Johnson right with Raymond Beadle all the way down the racetrack, and Rick Johnson takes the win. The quickest run ever for the Hawaiian Punch Dodge Daytona at a 579, 250 miles per hour. Beadle only 400ths of a second behind at 5.83 seconds. Actually faster at 251.39 miles per hour. Somewhat of an upset, but we continue with 2 of the most popular names in funny car racing. From Dallas, Texas, in the Winston Lane, it's Kenny Bernstein. Bernstein in the first fuel funny car ever to break the 260-mile-an-hour barrier. He's up against John Brute Force from Fullerton, California. Force always a contender in any NHRA national event from Fullerton, California, with the Coca-Cola sponsored Chevy Camaro. Bernstein, of course, the driver of the Budweiser King Ford Tempo, and as we just said, at the NHRA Gator Nationals earlier this season, became the first man to break 260 miles an hour. He's run 255 at this event already, qualifying number 3 with a 577. Force, the number 12 qualifier with a 590 at 250 miles per hour flat. This one could go down to the wire. Force versus Bernstein as they move up for the second burnouts. Bernstein moves up for his second burnout at the Winston Lane. And now they move to the starting line. Inching ever so carefully towards the electronic staging beams. Force keeping the motor clean. starting to reel her motor away on the top end, and it's Kenny Bernstein of the Budweiser King, a 586 at 206.41 miles per hour. Forced right there with Bernstein with a 597 at over 238 miles an hour. But Bernstein obviously setting the pace at over 256 miles an hour in Bunny Car Eliminator here at Pomona Raceway. And that will bring out the kings of the sport. The nitro-burning, 3,000 horsepower, winged wonders, the kings of the sport, the top fuel dragsters. Lined up in the water burnout area, one of the most incredible machines ever to hit the sport of drag racing in any season. From Old Forge, Pennsylvania, driver who's worked his way up through the competition eliminator ranks and the top alcohol dragster ranks to become, without a doubt, one of the killers in top fuel. It's Joe Amato. Amato in the Hearst TRW Keystone Automotive Warehouse machine from Old Forge, Pennsylvania, your #1 qualifier in this event with a track record 542 and 263.92 miles per hour. Amato already the NHRA record holder with the fastest speed ever recorded by a piston-driven machine in the quarter mile at 264.70 miles an hour set earlier this year. Amato's opponent, ironically, the previous NHRA speed record holder is Gary Reed, driving the Dago Red entry of Frank Taylor from Chino, California. Reed, the #9 qualifier, 574 at over 254 miles an hour, but keep in mind that that is more than 3/10 of a second slower than Amato's 542 pace. And the 542, by the way, was indeed the 4th quickest run ever in the sport. Backing up from the burnouts, Gary Reed, capable of putting down some tremendous top-end charges. The car's gone 257 miles an hour before. Frank Taylor, the owner of the Dago Red machine, actually races airplanes as well as top fuel dragsters. Amato, however, owns Keystone Automotive Warehouse and is looking for the NHRA Winston World Championship this season with the world's fastest top fuel dragster. Keeping the motors clear as they move to the starting line, getting ready for this pairing of top fuel dragsters here at the NHRA Winston World Finals. Joe Amato and Gary Reed. Amato up on the tires immediately and thundering to the finish line. Joe Amato, a 552, 262 miles per hour for the NHRA record holder. Gary Reed right there up until about three-quarter track when Amato literally marched on by, losing out with a 570 to over 20 miles an hour. But Amato, yet another class over 260 miles an hour here at the World Finals. The next pair of top fuel dragsters moving through the burnout procedure. It's the Snowman from Fort Worth, Texas, Gene Snow. Snow, a legend in drag racing history, a past NHRA World Funny Car Champion and Competition Eliminator Champion. He started off with Competition Eliminator injected fuel funny cars. Later moved up to the big nitro-burning funny cars and retired at the end of the 1978 season, but has come back with a vengeance with the Snow Oil Company sponsored Black Gold Top Fuel Dragster. Snow qualified the #12 position with a 576 at 244 miles an hour. His opponent, 27-year-old Shannon Stewart from Riverside, California, who's been opening eyes all season long, running in the 560 zone in Ernie Harmon's top fuel dragster, a Southern California local. Believe it or not, snow is at the disadvantage in this event. Qualifying number 12, Shannon Stewart, the number 4 qualifier with a best ever 563 at over 252 miles an hour. Inching towards the starting line, Stewart has never defeated Gene Snow. As a matter of fact, this is the first time he's run him in NHRA competition. Both machines seem to be running plenty strong as they inch towards the starting line here in Top Fuel Eliminator. The Snowman takes on young Shannon Stewart from Southern California. They leave the starting line together side by side all the way down, and it's Shannon Stewart taking a tremendous upset from Gene Snow. 5.69 seconds for Stewart to Snow's 570. 1/100th of a second between the two at the finish line. Well, sportsman racing action continues here at the 20th annual NHRA Winston World Finals at Pomona Raceway. We've already seen some outstanding action in the sportsman ranks so far in this event, and things will no doubt continue in that vein as we prepare to go into stock, super stock, competition, and top alcohol funny car eliminators. We'll be going into stock eliminator racing to start things off. Coming out, what should be a crowd-pleasing battle. Jim Waldo from Richland, Washington, and Greg Luniak from Breckenridge, Michigan, in a Ford versus Chrysler factory horsepower killer battle. Waldo, a past NHRA Winter Nationals champion with one of the fastest Fords ever produced, a 67 Fairlane with a 427 single overhead cam engine and a 4-speed, running in B stock. Waldo was one of the first men ever to put a stock eliminator entering the 10-second zone. He leaves the line with Greg Luniak as the C-Stock automatic 440 CUDA from Jack McCormick Racing. Side by side, it's Jim Waldo with a whole shot win, running 4 over his 11-10 index at 122.42 miles an hour. Luniak goes dead on at 1140 and loses by the whole shot. Super stock action pulling around the bend, and it's the defending NHRA Winston World Champion from West Valley, Utah, Keith Lynch, driving one of the brand new super stock GTF entries, a Buick Regal with 350 cubic inches of GM corporate engine inside. His opponent, a relative unknown from Bremerton, Washington. This is Gary Rouse driving Jim and Pam Gorman's 64 Chevelle in the super stock M automatic. Classification, it's a 283 cubic inch automatic transmission equipped entry. Rouse will take on, no doubt, the biggest battle of his life here as he attempts to defeat the defending Winston World Champion here in super stock eliminator action. RPM's up as the Christmas tree countdown begins, and they leave the line together. Rouse with a slight advantage off the starting line. Now Lynch starts to motor on the top end of the racetrack. At the finish line, it's Gary Rouse defeating the Winston World Champion, running 3 off his 1185 index at 11.88 seconds, 109 miles an hour. And Keith Lynch running 2/100ths of a second under his index. Well, if you're a Chrysler fan, you'll love this pair. Rick Hauser with a super stock A-automatic Hemi Cuda takes on Michael Neal from San Diego, California with a Hemi-powered 64 Plymouth Belvedere. Side by side all the way down, and it is Rick Hauser running 1 off his 960 index, a 961 at 132 miles an hour to Michael Neal's dead on 1035, only 1/100th of a second between those two. Here's Richard Griffin in the Quaker State Lane from Norcross, Georgia. He was flown in especially to drive the DeFrank and Cohen 65 Plymouth Belvedere. Here in the Winston Lane, he's up against Phil Mandela from Arcadia, California with a Superstock J-Automatic 340 Plymouth Duster. Battling it all the way down. Richard, always a killer, and into the lights. It's Phil Mandela. Both machines running 500s over their index 1097 to a losing 995, and Mandela scores an upset. We now go into competition eliminator racing, and here's Jim Van Cleve from Morton, Washington. A 1978 Pinto with a 324 cubic inch small block Ford motor running in B factory experimental. He'll be up against Wayne Laird from Cypress, California with the Paramore and Laird C Econo Dragster, a small block Chevy powered gas burning entry. Van Cleve, known more for his 10,000 RPM launches than anything else. Laird, a solid runner in the Econo Dragster ranks. Staging carefully, and the Christmas tree countdown begins. Van Cleve, a wheel standing launch with the Econo Dragster in on pursuit. Before trying to stay out in front, can he do it? No, he cannot. Wayne Laird, he comes around from behind with the Econo Dragster and takes the win, running 3/10 under it at 820, 160 miles an hour. DePinto runs 881 at 155 miles an hour for the loss. Heating up the tires in the Quaker State Lane from Kent, Washington, it's Steve Nolan. Nolan and the Varian boys with their 407 cubic inch 1971 Nova running in the A Super Modified division. He's up against Corsicana, Texas's own Mike Withrow, the Texas Gold B Dragster, the NHRA record holder in the B Dragster class. Machine that's run over 181 miles an hour in the past. It holds the national laps time record at a 7:49 using only gas and carburetors. Nolan capable of running deep in the 9-second zone with a wheel-standing Chevrolet. Withrow will have to run him down. Finish line. No, it's the Chevy Nova staying out in front. Nolan takes the win by 0.04 of a second. 24 under 971 to a 20 under 780 for Mike Withrow. And a single run coming up by one of the highest winding machines in all of competition eliminator, number 6 in the NHRA Winston World Championship chase last season. David Dickens from Houston, Texas, with a B-gas Firebird from the Nickens and Jones stable. On the top end, Nickens runs 27 hundredths under the B-gas index with an 848 at 161.81 miles per hour. And a tremendous charge for Nickens as we prepare to go back into the supercharged alcohol burning funny car ranks. More top alcohol funny car action here at the 20th annual NHRA Winston World Finals. What could be one of the toughest battles in the entire division will start things off. It's Vern Motes and Brad Anderson head to head here in this round of supercharged alky money car. Motes, the old pro. And Anderson, the current dominator in this division. Motes with the Hampshire Dodge Daytona, Keith Black aluminum Chrysler Hemi powered. Anderson with the Trans Am from Covina, California, the quickest and fastest alcohol burning drag racing machine in the world. Impressive at this event, running solid 640s at over 214 miles an hour. Brad Anderson, however, has been nothing short of incredible, running in the 630s at over 222 miles an hour in qualifying and in the previous rounds. And it's pretty incredible to think that there's actually more left in the car for Brad Anderson as he shoots for an NHRA Winston World Championship. Ritual as he attempts to keep the massive rear slicks warm as he inches towards the starting line in an attempt to dethrone Brad Anderson. RPM's up. tremendous tire shake. Brad Anderson Motors on by, and it's the Covina California killer, Brad Anderson, at 644, 221 at 67 miles an hour. Moats was forced to slow to a 689 at only 202 miles an hour when tire shakes set in. This time around, it's Bob Gage and Lou Gasparelli here in Top Alcohol Funny Car Eliminator action. Gage, a veteran Northwestern campaigner, and Gasparelli, a longtime Southern California charger in the alcohol funny ranks. Tremendous smoky bird out from Gasparelli in the Quaker State lane, and here comes Gage. Doing the driving for Walt Austin with the Walt's Radiator Corvette from Mount Lake Terrace, Washington. Qualified number 7 with a 656 at 211 miles an hour. Ironically, Walt Austin's brother, Bucky Austin, also qualified his Corvette in this program, but is already out of the program. Lou Gasparelli, hailing from Monrovia, California, with a Z28 Camaro body style on his supercharged aluminum Donovan Chrysler heavy entry. Been around for a long time, starting off with Corvettes in the early 1970s were actually supercharged gas-burning funny cars, and has run in the 640s at over 215 miles an hour at this event so far. Gasparelli, always a crowd favorite here at Pomona Raceway as he attempts to knock off Northwesterner Gage here in this round of Top Alcohol Funny Car. As the tire heating ritual continues. This is one of the few national event appearances by Bob Gage so far this year, although he has racked up quite an impressive match race record so far this year in the Northwest. Gasparelli is quite familiar with the Pomona Raceway surface, however, and has always been a standout, whether it be the Winter Nationals or here at the World Finals. Both machines now warmed and primed as they inch their way to the starting line beams. RPM's up for Bob Gage and Lou Gasparelli. Side-by-side launch, and they are still wheel-to-wheel all the way down the quarter mile, and Bob Gage defeats Lou Gasparelli in his own backyard. The Washington State killer runs 6:58 at 210 miles an hour. Gasparelli only a heartbeat behind at 6:59. 213 miles an hour, and around the bend come the factory hot rods. The crowd-pleasing Pro Stocks are back. And here in the Winston Lane, it's Rickie Smith from King, North Carolina, in the Ford Motorcraft Thunderbird that defeated Warren Johnson in the previous round. And now he's faced with the task of defeating another killer, Bob Glidden from Whiteland, Indiana, in his Thunderbird, the 711 Chief Auto Parts entry. They leave the line, but it's Glidden this time, coming off the starting line first. Rickie Smith trying valiantly to catch Glidden, and he cannot do it. Bob Glidden, a 768, 180.72 miles per hour. Rickie Smith a losing 785 at 176, so Glidden is still on a rampage. This time around in the Winston Lane from Yuma, Arizona, it's the beautiful blue Camaro of Gordy Rivera. Longtime Pro Stock campaigner who's actually been around since the inception of the class back in 1970. His opponent, though, is the man who is certainly synonymous with winning in this particular eliminator. It's Lee Shepard from Arlington, Texas. The rear of Morrison and Shepard, white Camaro, three-time NHRA world champion. Number 3 qualifier against number 7 qualifier. They're staged and ready. Tires fiercely in his Arizona Camaro, and Lee Shepard motors around for an easy win, and Shepard goes 772, 175 miles an hour. Corey Rivera slowing near the finish line with a 793 and 175. This time around, it's Chrysler versus Pontiac. The ex-California Flash, Butch Leo from Blacklick, Ohio, in the Nationwide Castrol GTX oil. Trans Am moves it in against Reed Wisnett, the controversial pilot of the Dodge Daytona, and the Quaker State Lane from Oakville, Georgia. The Daytona pilot looking to unseat the number 2 qualifier. Butch Leo staged and ready. Here comes Wisnett. Wisnett moving in very slowly. Now RPM's up. They leave the line side by side. But the black Pontiac Ohio starts to move away on the top end. At the finish line, it's Butch Leo defeating the Georgia Daytona. Leo runs 776 at 178 miles an hour. Wisnett a tenth of a second behind at 786, 176 miles an hour. Well, the action hot and heavy here at the 20th annual NHRA Winston World Finals, and still more action to come as we go into the nitro-burning, ground-pounding funny car and top fuel ranks. As we look into the water burn-down area, we can see some of the nation's fastest fuel funny cars and top fuel dragsters getting ready for the next round of competition here at the NHRA Winston World Finals. Coming up in just a few minutes, you'll be seeing some of the biggest names in funny car racing, not the least of which includes Tom the Mongoose McEwen, Mark Oswald, Billy Meyer, Dale Pulte, Ed the Ace McCulloch, and two-time NHRA World Champion Frank Hawley. First pair of machines up in the Winston Lane, firing up. It's a legend in drag racing from Mountain Valley, California, in the Coors Corvette, Tom the Mongoose McEwen, the 260-mile-per-hour winner of the Big Bud Shootout earlier this year, as he takes on the man destined to become the NHRA Winston World Fuel Funny Car Champion, Mark Oswald from Cincinnati, Ohio, in the old Milwaukee Candies and Used Pontiac Trans Am. Moving up for the tire-heating, crowd-pleasing burnouts here at the World Finals. Oswald logging in Pomona Raceway, and McEwen does the same, a rolling smog bank across the starting line. Oswald backs up through the smoke in the world's fastest fuel funny car, having already run 261.32 miles per hour in this event. The machine qualifying number 4 at 577 during qualifying, and McEwen is in number 8 position with a 585 best so far in this event at 250 miles per hour. McEwen and Oswald move forward for the dry jerks to heat up the tires and rocket across the starting line. McEwen, a veteran of dragster and funny car wars in Southern California and around the world since the mid-1950s. Oswald, a youngster who started off in the competition eliminator ranks and moved up to his own top fuel dragster before being hired by the Candies and Hughes conglomerate from Houma, Louisiana. Oswald, as a matter of fact, held the NHRA Top Fuel Dragster speed record. Both machines now carefully idling up to the starting line area. The Mongoose takes on Oswald here in funny car eliminations. Side by side, beautiful battle all the way down the quarter mile, and it's Mark Oswald coming around on the top end to take a win by 200ths of a second from Tom the Mongoose McEwen. 593 at 252 miles an hour for Oswald to a 595 at 251 for McEwen. Tremendous race. As the next pair of fires move into the water, this one will be a battle. From Waco, Texas, Billy Meyer in the 711 Jeep Auto Parts Ford Mustang takes on Dale Boldy from Granada Hills. Boldy in the Miller High Life Warrior Pontiac Trans Am. Battling Meyer here in the NHRA World Finals. Both these machines have run in the 560s so far this year. Boldy has not had what you would call the best of seasons, burning a car completely to the ground just after the Winter Nationals, and then blowing another one to little bits at an event in Martin, Michigan during the summer. Meyer, on the other hand, has been in several national event finals and has been enjoying one of his best seasons in recent memory. Fantastically strong on the dry chirp, yanking the wheels and flying over the starting line. Boldy sounding plenty strong in the Quaker State lane with the local Granada Hills-based Trans Am. Both drivers professionals in the sport of drag racing, touring around the country all season long in national events. And it all comes down to this here at the NHRA Winston World Finals. Moving up to the starting line ever so cautiously, Billy Meyer prepared to take on Dale Boldy. Side by side all the way down, and it's Billy Meyer, the Waco kid, taking the win with the 711 Jeep Auto Parts Mustang. 573 for Meyer to 579 for Boldy. 253 miles an hour for Meyer in the win. Here comes Ed McCulloch. The light beer Team Larry Minor entry. It's an Olds Forenza. McCulloch's opponent, two-time NHRA Winston World Champion Frank Hawley. Hawley driving the Team Strange, Rislone Oil Treatment, Chi-Town Hustler, Dodge Daytona. The transplanted Canadian now living in Gainesville, Florida. Hawley qualified number 6 at a 582. McCulloch had his problems in qualifying at this event. Made the show in the number 14 position with a 593 and 245 miles per hour. McCulloch, a long-time campaigner in the Top Fuel Dragster and Nitro Funny Car Wars since the mid-1960s. A native of Seattle, Washington. He moved to Sanger, California a few seasons ago and has recently returned to driving at the wheel of the wild Olds Forenza of Larry Minor and Oldsmobile here in the Quaker State lane. McCulloch ran a 570 at the U.S. Nationals this year. Hawley has gone as quick as a 576. Ernie Federley, the mechanic for Team Minor and the Oldsmobile Light Beer team, backing up McCulloch at his tracks. as Austin Coyle does the same for Frank Hawley. Austin of the three-member team, Marconis, Coyle, and Minnick, the owners of the Chi-Town Hustler. And the crowd on their feet as this could be one of the wildest races of the entire event. Both machines taking their time getting to the line. Now they're pre-staged, staged and ready. They leave the line side by side. Both machines on tremendous runs. And Ed the Ace McCulloch takes the win in the quickest side-by-side funny car race in history. McCulloch wins with a hole shot, running 570 to Frank Hawley's quicker, but losing 569. McCulloch at 254 miles an hour outdistancing the Chi-Town Hustlers' 251-mile-an-hour speed rating in the most incredible funny car race in the event. But now, firing up in the water burnout area, it's time to return to the kings of the sport, the 3,000 horsepower ground-pounding top fuel dragsters. Coming up, it's the Beard in the Quaker State Lane from Napa, California, the world's fastest plumber, Frank Bradley. Bradley moves in to heat the tires. Bradley's opponent, the reigning NHRA Winston World Champion, the other entry from Team Minor and Light Beer, Gary Beck. Gary Beck, another transplanted Canadian, now lives in the high desert California town of Emmett. The #1 driver of the Larry Minor Light Beer Oldsmobile team. And a past NHRA National Event champion dating all the way back to his first win at the U.S. Nationals in 1972. Bradley has had a fine season this year, running in the 550s and winning the NHRA Summer Nationals in Englishtown, New Jersey. He qualified #7 with a 567. Beck was the #3 qualifier with a 554 at over 255 miles an hour. Bradley and Beck heat the tires and move to the line here in Top Fuel Dragster Eliminations. Gary Beck now out of the World Championship points chase, but still looking for the event win here at the NHRA World Finals at Pomona Raceway. Machines pounding the ground with plenty of horsepower in this matchup. If they can keep it to the ground, it'll go the distance. Both machines now ready as they move into the starting line beams, waiting the Christmas tree countdown. Bradley off the line first, but Beck starting to make a tremendous charge to drive around him. Grabs the win line at the finish line. 563 at 248 miles per hour. Don Bradley's close 573 at 250. Well, ladies and gentlemen, pulling into the burnout area next is probably the greatest name in the history of the sport of drag racing. From Ocala, Florida, he has returned with a vengeance this year to win the U.S. Nationals, run over 263 miles an hour at this event. Ladies and gentlemen, the Kendall Oil Charger, Big Daddy Don Garlits. Garlits' opponent, St. Petersburg, Florida. Garlits and Malone were teammates back in 1960. Later split up to pursue their own careers, but now they're back together again and fresh off a big win at the U.S. Nationals at Indianapolis Raceway Park. Garlits, the number 2 qualifier in this event, with a 5:46 at 260 miles per hour. Has run as fast as 263.92 miles per hour at this event, and so far has been obviously the overwhelming crowd favorite. Ormsby qualified number 6 with a 5:64 at 252 miles per hour, but Garlits looks unstoppable at this point. On your feet, race fans. Big Daddy Don Garlits moves in to take on Gary Ormsby here at the NHRA Winston World Finals. Garlits looking ever so confident as he moves in at 3 stages next to Ormsby. Garlits off the line first. Ormsby trying hard to drive around the old man, but he can't do it. And Big Daddy Don Garlits from California takes the win with a 5:55, 260.86 miles per hour. Ormsby right behind Garlits with a 5:64, 254.23 miles per hour, but it wasn't enough to stop the old man, Malone, and the Kendall Oil Charger here at the 20th annual NHRA Winston World Finals at Pomona Raceway. The old man, Big Daddy Don Garlits, is back.